Hello and welcome to another conversation. Today we have Susanna Pavan. She's an artist, a researcher, and a photographer. Welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So welcome to the show. So I introduced you as an artist,
Yes.
researcher, photographer. I don't know which order, which is a chronological order.
Yeah, that's true.
You do quite a lot of stuff.
It's
in
true.
that.
It's true.
So let's begin by exploring about your passion for art.
Okay.
So why did you actually choose to go into art? What was the inspiration?
The inspiration, it's a very interesting question because I was born and brought up in Sri Lanka. So most of my time I spent there, I spent in such a beautiful backdrop. There's so much sceneries there, there's so much, how do you say it? It's a wonderful place to be brought up at.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've grown up with looking so much colors, so much landscape, so much nature, that I started to have interest in drawing pictures and paintings. So that was the slight of how it started, the interest into
So your
drawing.
parents mainly have given you the inspiration of
Yeah, I would say that because they like taking loads of photos of me, and I used to look at those to draw. I draw from photos. So yeah, that's the main reason how I started off being an artist, because of my parents and where I was born and brought up, so in Sri Lanka. So it's the whole nature part of Sri Lanka that makes it interesting for me.
So landscapes makes it more interesting for you,
Yeah.
and you have actually done quite a lot of artistic exhibitions in the past. And
Yeah.
So what? So have you actually drawn portraits, or it's just landscapes?
No, actually I do a lot of portraits. I do everything. So I do from portraits, landscapes to abstract as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it started off initially by portraits. I used to draw Disney cartoon characters. I used to then, when I grew up a little bit older, I started drawing pictures of myself. There's an artist called Frida Kahlo, and she draws herself, she paints herself.
How do you do that? Because when you actually do your draw your
Yeah.
picture, you can see the mirror image.
Yeah,
you
that's
might
right.
not actually see the actual image, even if you sit in front of a mirror.
Yeah, you're correct. You might not see yourself, but I think when you paint yourself, you try to represent yourself in a way that you think who you are. So it's like a bit of your psychological part working on art. That's what I would say.
Now let me get this correct.
Okay.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
So when you draw yourself,
yeah,
so you get your expressions, especially your psychological side of things.
yes.
So that is the part which we may not see when we
No,
see you.
yeah, that's correct.
That's interesting.
It is. It's. I don't know how to explain it,
So
but
have we got some examples of these kind of art some artists have actually drawn, like apart from the person you mentioned?
no, actually, I think Frida Kahlo is the only person that's done this from what I've learnt. But she went through a very difficult past. She had a broken back, so the only thing she could see was a mirror on top of her bed, which was herself.
Mm-hmm.
So she used to draw from the mirror. So in her concept, it makes sense because she didn't have nothing else to look at. But for me, I was inspired by her, so I used to paint myself, I used to draw myself in different backdrops. They looked quite depressing, and my parents thought maybe I'm a bit depressed. I'm not. I just like drawing myself.
So then when did you actually transfer that into your photographic skills? Because before we go into the exploring about what you do now, but you would have started taking photographs of the pictures. Have you actually taken photographs of the pictures which you drew?
Yeah, I have. I have taken pictures of my paintings.
And then that's, so do you use oil paint or just
Yeah.
abstract?
I used to use acrylic paints,
Mhm.
but then once I got into my A-levels, I started using oil paints because I realized how much value oil paint had. Most artists at this level would use oil paint.
And then you said that your parents used to take a lot of photographs of
Yeah.
these. So at which point that you started to take the camera? I'm sure every kid, like at an age, they would have taken the photograph.
Yeah.
And so which was your first moment of a photograph?
Well, my dad had a really good SLR back in the day.
Okay.
For that age and time, he had a really good camera, and we used to travel India, Singapore, everywhere. So he used to take these really long shots, these very long shots, and I used to look at them and I used to think, wow, that's a really nice shot. And he used to have a camera, a little small digital camera.
Mhm.
So instead of him taking control of the camera, I took control of the camera. So wherever I went, I had the camera in my hand and I would take the pictures. So the interest started to build up from there onwards.
So this, at any point, because currently you're working in life sciences.
Yeah,
so
I am.
You're a researcher.
Yes.
You would have actually had times up and down in terms of your studies and getting through.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought that you wanted to, pursue photography as a profession in your early days? I mean, secondary school or when you're actually getting into GCSEs?
Interesting question. No, I didn't think of it as being professional. I didn't think I'd get to that point. I just thought, okay, it's a hobby. Let's start it off. I like taking pictures. They make me feel good because when I take a picture of what I see, and I believe what I see is beautiful. So it makes me feel good. Oh yeah, look, I've taken a nice picture. But no, I never thought it's going to be professional at the time. It's just something I started off as a hobby.
So
Really.
you at any point you just never thought, so that you went through your academic side of things. So how was that, your academic, especially in the A levels, and so you did science subjects, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did art, I did health and social care, and I did applied science for my A levels, which wasn't the standard courses that you would do to get into a science course. Most pupils, they would use chemistry and biology, but I actually didn't get into it because I wasn't actually good at science at the time. So I chose this one because this was easy for me to get into. But yeah, my academic years at early stages was very difficult. I wasn't good at studying at all. I was actually very bad at studying. Very bad.
Well, are you being modest now?
No,
Because you're
I'm not being modest. I'm being honest.
Because at the moment you are actually involved in research.
Yes.
So definitely you would have actually put a lot of time into. So do you have any interesting moments you want to share with when you were doing your undergraduate or postgraduate times? Because always these are the moments which you just think life is hard. Can I go this way or that way? Would I chose this profession or this profession? Because in this program you always explore about the professional ambitions and how you actually ended up there.
Well, as usual, I thought I was good at art because I used to get really good grades in art. And, one side of me was really interested in science and another side of me was really good at art. And, but I was bad at science, even though I was interested at it. And I was really good at art, and a lot of people encouraged me. They were like, you're good at painting, you should carry on with this. And I was like, okay, so let's try. I went to my parents and I said, I want to, do something in art. And they looked at me and they were like, what are you going to do in art? I was like, I don't know, I want to be a painter, become famous. And then they were like, okay, that's good. They never stopped encouraging me. They were always like, that's good. But what are you going to really do in art? Okay, that clicked a question in my head and I was like, interesting, okay, yeah, that's a good point. What am I going to do in art? So I looked at various things and I saw art therapist. I was like, hey, it's a bit of science and a bit of art. Let's go and do this. Mom and Dad, what do you think of this? And they were like, it's a bit like looking at, what do you call it in Hindu, sastram. You look at painting and you tell how someone feels. I was like, that's true. That's a good point again. So I was like, okay, let's plan. Let's plan how you want your future to be. I'll do my art, I'll do my diploma in design, and then I'll go into science. So I applied for my biomedical science degree. I got into Kingston. They were very kind to me. They said, you have really good points, because I did get an A in art. And they look at points. They look at 260, 380, those points.
I think it's a great place to study.
No, it's a wonderful place.
And you have actually gone through the life sciences and did your master's, and now you're engaged in research.
Yeah.
So part of your research is to find some cure for cancer, which is in the conversation earlier you said that you are looking at a holistic cure rather than kind of a radiotherapy. So can you explain a bit more about what is the specific question that you're looking at and what kind of the solution you're up to?
Well, in cancer it's very broad. There's 400 different types of cancers, And you know it's one of the most death-causing diseases in the world at the moment. And the problem is we are using chemotherapy. And what chemotherapy does is, you know, in a human body we have normal tissue and we have cancerous tissue when a person has cancer. And what chemotherapy does, it attacks DNA, so it stops DNA from proliferating, in other words, dividing, so the cells cannot grow again. But chemotherapy is quite cytotoxic. It has a lot of side effects, and a lot of patients get a lot of other side effects, like you know, vomiting, fatigueness, tiredness, loss of hair. So these are a lot of issues that chemotherapy comes along with, even though it's a very effective drug. So now what we're trying to do is targeted therapy. We're looking at therapy that actually binds into specific proteins on a specific cancer patient's cancer tumor. And what it does is it blocks that protein from acting. And, you know, for example, I'll give you an example. There's a cell, one cell in one human, has millions of proteins on the outside. And what these proteins do is they bind onto certain other proteins to create signals inside the cell. These signals will go into the DNA and allow the DNA to proliferate. This is why cancer is like 1, 2, 3 into hundreds of millions. So what we're doing, we're stopping that signaling by having a specific drug that blocks that protein, so no more signaling is going down. So there's two types of drugs we use. There's one called monoclonal antibodies, which bind onto the top part of the protein, or there's a different type of it's a tyrosine kinase inhibitor. It blocks the inside of this cell. Either way, you're blocking signaling, so there won't be any cell growth.
So how long it's going to take to get into the market? Because there is in early research stages, right? So what is your expectation?
Actually, this is actually in the market right now. There's a lot of monoclonal antibodies and tyrosine
in the UK?
In the UK and then in the US and in other places as well.
And is it a general therapy or is it for specific type of cancers?
No, there's a specific. That's the thing. With this targeted therapy, they bind onto specific proteins, right? For example, I'm going to say there's a protein called HER2. This protein is overexpressed in breast cancer, but it is not overexpressed in other certain cancers. So you cannot use this drug on other cancers, but you can definitely use it in breast cancer.
Right.
You see? So we're trying to look at different cancers. This is where collaboration comes. Different scientists, they look at different cancers, they look at what these cancers express, and then they block those. And then we try it on other cancers afterwards.
So I was actually right. You were very modest initially when you were saying that you're not very bright, and so you are doing something good for the humanity in terms of research. So good luck with that endeavors.
Thank you.
I'm sure that radiotherapy has so much side effects. People wanted to see alternative medicine, alternative kind of drugs, and so good luck with that.
Thank you.
That's your profession. So you're a researcher, so you actually work and doing your PhD.
I am doing my PhD, yes.
But I understand you make a living or making a lot of money through your photographic profession.
Yeah, a lot of money, a lot of happiness.
A lot of happiness. So how many weddings do you normally, I mean, you're into wedding photography mainly, right?
Yes.
So now, when did you start doing, when was your first wedding shoot?
My first wedding was when I was doing my BSc, so it was around my end of my first year. That's when I first started doing my first wedding. Yeah,
that's roughly about 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, around 3-4 years ago.
So how many weddings have you done so far?
Well, from then I actually cannot remember, but quite a lot. I could say in the last month I did around 5 weddings. Yeah.
So roughly you do 4 or 5 weddings a month?
Yeah, it's very seasonal. So you could say during, you know, the summer season, people get married more than in the winter season. So I would say, yeah.
So what defines, because the most important moment in anybody's life, because we have actually seen, you know, they spend a lot of money, because one of the programs that we looked at in how much the industry worth. Now, I think the only thing which will be left out after that, all the spending, is the photographs.
Yeah.
Or the video.
Yeah.
So, you know, to let somebody to come and to do the photographs and all, enormous amount of trust should be there.
That is right.
Because that moment is lost. You can't recreate it.
No, that's true. You have to really trust the person.
So it's huge responsibility.
It is a very big responsibility.
And how do you actually take it? And what is your way of handling that?
Handling this, okay. Well, to be honest with you, as a female, I know, as a girl, I am very fussy about how things should be done, how things are done. So, girls are a bit more pickier than guys, I think, generally, in how they want their wedding to look. So, in that terms, I understand how a wedding should work. And it's true, it's a lot of hard work and a lot of pressure. You want to make sure you catch everything. And then, this little girl called Susanna is running around in this massive hall taking pictures. People look and they're like, can she do it? Can this little girl actually take pictures? And then, once they see the pictures, they're like, oh, okay, she can. So that's the satisfaction. I want to make sure that I catch all the moments and make sure that, they're not satisfied. Because at the end of the day, if they're heartbroken, I'm heartbroken as well, because it's a lot of, it's their moment.
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure I'm there, running around. Sometimes, even the videographers there, very nice people. I work with a lot of videographers. I collaborate with a lot of them. So as soon as I get into the wedding, I speak to them, or the DJs, the videographers, and I speak to them, I get to know them. Then I'm like, okay, tell me if I'm standing in front of you, tell me if you're standing in front of me. Like, we collaborate, we work around each other. So there's that understanding.
Mm-hmm. I mean, mainly the area I was looking at is the psychological pressure.
Yeah.
Because of delivering something.
Yes.
And obviously the family also, like the bride and groom's side's also quite enthusiastic in the sense of like they want the best to happen. Because looking at your work, it's an amazing piece of work that you have actually done different type of weddings,
Mm-hmm.
like English weddings, Indian weddings, Tamil weddings.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many varieties in the sense. But interestingly, you only use a very simple camera.
I do indeed.
And you don't walk in with telescopic cameras or so what is the secret behind that? If you can share it.
I can't tell you the secret. No, but I can tell you that I think the first thing is that you got to believe in yourself. Can I go and take that shot?
Mm-hmm.
Can I take it? Yeah, if I can, then I would go. It doesn't matter. It's not always about the equipment. Yes, the equipment has a big impact on how the images look. It's very sharp. It's very colorful. You get a lot of work with the lenses and the cameras that you use. But I always know that when I take a photo, I look at it in my camera once I've taken it, and I look at it and I think, I know how I'm going to edit that. That's the secret. I know what I'm going to do with the picture after I've taken it. It's the trust I have on my laptop, on my softwares, and my camera, and my brain, and my eyes. So when I go home, I know that I can edit it like this. That's the secret.
Because that actually saves a lot of time and saves a lot of pressure and also do you take any other assistants, anybody else to help with you, or mainly you do on your own?
Mainly I've done it on my own, but recently I've been pulling some other female photographers as well, because I want them to get experience as well. I know a lot of my friends who want to be photographers, and they're girls, and they come and they say, if you have a shoot, can you bring me on so then I can get some experience? I said, of course you can. So previously I've had another photographer called Ifra, and then I had my cousin Lakshya. So we both collaborated. So I took them for assisting me, and it was nice. It was really fun, if that's the word. Yeah.
And you got some awards recently, from.
It was an interesting shot because I was standing in the middle, and I was going to take the picture where the groom was putting the thali on the lady, and there were so many people with the iPhone that came so close to me. I couldn't get the shot because I was very squashed. Then the groom looked at me and he said, "Just jump on this side and take the shot. I know you're squashed. Come here." So I moved to that side. Within few seconds, they changed the side, so the groom's back was where I was taking the shot, and the thali was going that way. Oh God, I had a heart attack. So what I did was I jumped from that side to this side and quickly took the shot. It was a lucky shot, I'd have to say, because I had to jump and capture it before he stopped putting it on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and recently a lot of people have commented on it, liked it, and have appreciated it, and I'm very grateful for that. That's, and I've even got, the monthly award from the Tamil Hindu weddings. So it's rewarding. It is rewarding.
Because I have seen those photographs and it's amazing. And I think the one I liked most, apart from the groom, there's one, the grandma is crying. It's
yes.
really natural kind of a scene in a wedding, especially in a Tamil wedding.
Yes.
And you have captured it behind the shoulder kind of a shot.
Yes, yes.
Which is quite good. So do they actually ask specifically these kind of shots, or do you actually select these? Like,
No, the shots are selected by me. So, you know, when I take a shot, I know what shot I've taken. They don't know what I've taken. So they only see my work. They know my style. They know what I'm capable of, as they know from the work they've seen. And then from there they choose me, but the rest is in my hands, how I do it, how I capture it.
Yeah, that's good. So art, photography, and life sciences, and serious work to find cure for cancer. It's a serious work. It's a quite kind of a complex mixture.
Yes.
Because life sciences, and then you like landscapes.
Yes.
But just bringing together, what is the most, I mean, you have done quite a lot, so if you want to select out of all, what would be the most important thing for you in life?
Most important thing for me in life? That's a very good question. I can't say the most important, because for me, photography is like my left eye and science is like my right eye. And now, if I was to choose between one eye, I can't really. I'd rather have both of them. I'll just have to work around it, balance it, really. That's the key to this.
Because so far, the audience, and so far when we walked into the studio, somebody looked at you and said, "Oh, you don't look Tamil."
Oh, yes.
And so your name's actually is not really giving it away.
It's not, yes.
So you speak good Tamil.
I do.
And so in terms of identity, in terms of culture, like, you know, what is your kind of opinion, or what would you say? Because the reason I was actually asking this question is that you wanted to actually go in these different directions of professions.
Yes.
And normally the culture, the identity also has a bigger say in, or bigger influence.
I see, okay.
So this is asking, like, you know,
my personal life.
That's right. How do you identify yourself? Like, you know, and then how that fits in terms of culture, heritage, and going forward with your profession.
Yeah.
I know it's a tricky question.
It is a tricky question. I mean, culture, there's culture everywhere you go. I mean, you cannot, like, even as a British, there's the culture. You can't really say there's no culture, you know? But how do I go about it? In the Tamil community, it's very difficult, I think, for a female to be out there taking photos. But actually, from my point of view, I don't see it that difficult, because everyone's been very friendly with me.
Have that kind of ever made you feel that you're in a wrong profession when you actually go in the sense, like, the way how, because, you know, we can talk about this openly, because you have said, like, when you walk in with a camera, people say whether you know whether you can do it. And how did that felt, like, you know? So have you ever felt, oh, I'm better off doing certain other work rather than doing this?
No, actually, I felt like, let me show you what I can do.
Now that's interesting, because that's where I wanted to actually bring you in, because you. What was the most important thing for you in terms of, you know, transferring your skills? Because you talked about collaboration many times. And also, you also talked about bringing youngsters in, or especially, you did mention that you want to bring more girls into this profession.
I do.
So, in that field, or in that way of, what are you actually involved in? Have you actually done something? Or?
Actually, well, recently, not recently, I think I just, I started off my website. I refurbished it and made it very new. And I put up a status asking a lot of girls who are interested in photography to send me their photos, because I wanted to put it on my website, you know, because it gives them a bit of hope. It gives them a bit of happiness. Oh, yeah, someone recognizes my work. So a lot of girls messaged me and they were like, oh, that's really nice. I really want to show you some of my work. And they would send me their photos and I'd look at it and I'd be like, that's nice. Or you could work on this. So, you know, just give them some tips. I'm not a professional guru at photography. I think what I do is okay, good enough for me. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I can give some advice. So that has hopefully helped them.
So, as a concluding remark, what would you like to share with us in terms of your future work, projects or something. So would you like to actually share with us?
Yeah, I would like to, personally, I would like to get a lot of females to partake in, photography, to be confident and be, to work in collaboration as well. That's another thing that I'd really like to push, because I think it works well when you work in collaboration than in single. I think, yeah, everyone has, their title and everyone looks good on their own, but when a whole group of people come together and do something together, it looks elaborate. So definitely collaboration and more females to come out and to do the work with us or with me sometimes.
And on that venture, you are involved in some kind of project or workshop?
Yes, that's right. We're hoping to do a workshop in the near future, and that is also in collaboration with 2 other photographers, AG Photography and Tendra Photography. We're hoping to get that going soon. We're just creating all the booklets and everything right now. So in a few months down the line, we're hoping to get that ready, get people to come in, learn from all 3 of us rather than me alone. And hopefully the money from there will go to an orphanage organization in India called TRI. So yeah, hopefully that goes well.
That's great, great stuff, and we have explored a lot from life sciences to art. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much for watching another conversation. Today we explored from life sciences to art, photography, diverse mixed fields, but the key ingredient we talked about is collaboration. So let's just see another episode of Conversation. Thank you very much. Goodbye.